Good morning once again. Welcome back to the Roundtable. I'm Joe Donahue.
I'm Selma Cap.
Our arts raconteur, Clarence Fanto, is back in the hot seat this morning with his weekly arts preview. Good morning, Clarence.
Good morning, Joe, and good morning, Selma.
So what is catching the eye of our culture vulture this week?
Well, Tanglewood this weekend. On Sunday afternoon, the Boston Symphony's assistant conductor, Jens Georg Bachmann, makes his debut on the orchestra's podium with violinist Pinchas Zuckerman, one of the top fiddlers of our time, in Beethoven's Violin Concerto, and then Shostakovich's monumental Fifth Symphony. We spoke with Bachmann earlier this week, and we asked him how his professional association with James Levine began.
It began actually when I was a student at Juilliard. I was always fascinated by the way he has been able to establish a certain artistic and musical consistency with his own orchestra at the Met. And I always tried to get into his rehearsals and performances and succeeded. And when he came to the Juilliard School to teach a vocal master class, I had a chance to talk to him. And when he came to Berlin to conduct the Berlin Philharmonic, and I happened to be there, we kept on talking. I had the possibility of asking him questions about the piece he was doing there, because it just happened to be that I had done this piece just recently in New York as well. And then I was able to offer him a videotape, and he took it home with himself. And then after a certain while, he asked me whether I would like to become his assistant in Munich, and that was something quite special for me because I had never expected that. And it was a fantastic next step after my Juilliard training.
And then, of course, now you're the assistant conductor of the Boston Symphony, as appointed by Maestro Levine. Tell us exactly what your responsibilities are as assistant conductor.
Yeah, well, assisting every conductor, that is all guest conductors, as well as the music director, in their musical work with the orchestra. We have to be prepared to step in at any moment if one of them would fail to be there just for the reason that a train or a plane is delayed, or for health reasons. That would mean the rehearsals and or the performances. It is a fantastic training to be able to be exposed to such a world-class orchestra and at the same time learning how to deal with the one and only musical media, the sound.
There's a tremendous amount of repertory that you have to study to cover even half the season, and this indeed must be a tremendous preparation for what eventually, when you move on to your own orchestra.
That is true. I mean, I have to admit that being a young conductor at the start of a career, it is quite a big challenge to be able to cope with all the amount of repertoire we would have to deal with or we are confronted with, just because of the fact that most of the conductors who come would not come to the Boston Symphony to conduct a piece there for the first time for them. So, but it often happens for us that it is the case. I have been happy to conduct pieces I would not have been able at my age, such as Bruckner symphonies or Shostakovich or Mahler symphonies. But when Maestro Levine does, for example, the concert performance of Wagner's Flying Dutchman, that was something I really had to dig into in order to be able to assist him as best as I could. Plus, all the contemporary music we do there, including the world premieres, that is a very, very exciting and challenging responsibility we have there.
This Sunday afternoon, you'll be conducting the Beethoven Violin Concerto with Pinchas Zuckerman as soloist, and then the Shostakovich Fifth Symphony. Did you decide on the Shostakovich Symphony in consultation with Maestro Levine? Was that your own choice? How did that happen?
I was lucky that I could already work at Tanglewood last summer. That was actually prior to my official start as assistant conductor for the winter season. And I knew that I would have my Tanglewood debut with the Boston Symphony the following summer, and I was walking across the lawn and thinking, what on earth could I bring here which would suit me, which would suit the orchestra, which would suit this place, and which would make a sense altogether. And then I thought of many pieces, and it just finally dawned to me that I could do the Shostakovich Fifth Symphony, just because I feel very well connected with that piece and the composer, and I think it is a very, very strong and powerful piece. And then when we were there with the Shostakovich, it was just a question of what kind of piece could be paired with it. And once the opportunity came up that Pinchas Zukerman would be available, he suggested the Beethoven Violin Concerto. And we thought that is a great coincidence because these are two very strong composers and two very strong pieces. And we thought this is a nice pair to put on a Sunday afternoon program.
Well, it's an eagerly anticipated concert. We want to wish you the very best of luck with it. And Jens Georg Bachmann, the assistant conductor of the Boston Symphony, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation.
My great pleasure. Thank you for having me on your show.